Hello there, followers of darkness, travelers all across a galaxy far, far away. Welcome to another episode of the Shadow Council. Here I am, your good old host, Lord of Shadows, alongside my other valuable members of my council.
Hi, Peyton from the Pop Perch Network here and Star Wars fanatic.
Hi, my name is Kieran from the Film Review Central podcast.
Right. So here we are today. And this time we're going to talk about, as I mentioned before, about our favorite galaxy far, far away. And more precisely about the upcoming Star Wars projects that we're going to have, like in not just simply in 2023, but also in future years to come. So we'll all be honored if you would join us. Please get around, and join our little discussion. So, basically I just have to be honest, like the Lucasfilm schedule when it comes to Star Wars, like it's been bonkers. Like there's been so many things that were announced, introduced, and we're gonna get in coming months, even a coming years as well. So the overall, I just want to say, like, with everything that we have which is coming out, I just want to say, like, I'm really, really excited for everything that is coming. How about you guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously they've had a few issues in terms of behind the scenes sort of stuff, which is very much prevented and angered a lot of fans. I would say there definitely seems to be a lot of fans very frustrated with what is going on. However, let's just look to the future. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be them difficult times. Star Wars has been such a successful franchise to the point where they can't continuously please every fan. And at the moment, ironing out a few issues, ironing out a few massive things could really impact. The conversation about different franchises constantly is like a roller coaster. You're up, you're down. Marvel are not having the best of moments in terms of their phase 4. So that's a little blip, but you've got to remember what they've actually done. They're so successful, so special to a lot of people. So I think a lot of people need to just look to the future now and just see this anticipation, and hopefully the Shadow Council can help them.
Right, because in this occasion, if I have to quote Monty Python, look on the bright side of life.
Lovely
Basically.
singing. Lovely singing.
But basically, the point is the same. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you can kind of say, that ever since the Mandalorian came out, kind of like, basically put our fans, like us Star Wars fans, a little bit together. At least, like, not just simply, not like a whole 100%, but like at least a few percentages, a little bit closer. That's at least the way how I see it when it comes to the overall fandom. So basically, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, after like a big like dumpster fire of like this of all like the sequel trilogy hate and just all the squabble between the fans and like
Yeah.
us just kind of sitting back and like, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, but that's why I said, like, the Mandalorian, I think, like, reunite not all of us, but like I said, a piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the Star Wars spirit. Mandalorian definitely felt like a very much of a space western. I think them genres and the themes introduced in that show I thought was fantastic. There's a few issues with the other Star Wars shows. It depended on who you speak to. I can't say that I sing the praises of Book of Boba Fett, for example. But for me personally, these shows really do capture the spirit of Star Wars in such a massive chronological timeline. So many different moments and incidences is that you've got your set movies, but you can also, have TV shows and Disney Plus streaming service at its disposal to, put little gaps within the story and make this a timeline fantastic. That's the direction that Star Wars seemed to be going. They started brilliantly with The Mandalorian, and they've just kept rolling with these TV shows to the point where I think a lot of people are getting very, very excited about what characters will get their own shows next, what they can explore. We're obviously going to talk on that a little bit here today.
Yeah. Also, I mean, like, for me personally, like, when it comes to, like, not just simply the Mandalorian, but like everything that came later on, like the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, like all the shows for me, like for me are like a total win. when it comes to Lucasfilm and Disney in general. I enjoyed every single one of them in many different ways. I mean, I can definitely see some people, having issues with the Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan Kenobi, even though I always wondered why. But okay, even like Andor. But for me personally, like all these shows for me delivered, and I cannot wait to see the upcoming projects. So again, that's just me. What about you, Fulcrum?
I'm pretty much the same thing. I will admit one thing, and I am planning on getting to this pretty soon. I've only seen an episode and a half of Andor. I am planning on binging it though, so don't worry about that there.
Believe me.
Okay, all right, we won't.
Yeah, we won't. We're not going to spoil you anything, but believe me, it is going to be a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster when it comes to like story wise and emotions, especially emotions. Don't you agree with me, FRC?
Yeah, absolutely. I really liked Andor, and I watched that show, the first few episodes with my dad, and then I sort of slowly started to take over. But every time he messages me about this show, he's just like, "This is getting better. This is getting better." So yeah, definitely binge watching it is probably the best way to go. But Cassian Andor was one of my favorite characters in Rogue One, which I'd say is probably my favorite Disney-led, shall we say, Star Wars movie. That story was so great, and just the spy elements of that show, I thought definitely captivated Star Wars very, very well. So for me personally, it's just a very much of a continuation of Andor's story, and they had so many great possibilities, and I felt like they picked the right ones, most definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, I just want to, before we start with our upcoming projects, I just want to ask you, like, of course, we can all agree The Mandalorian is awesome. Like season 1 and season 2, they were both great. We can all agree on that. So I want to ask you, like, and also you and I, Kieran, we enjoyed Andor, very, very much, story-wise, characters, emotions, and everything, but we're not going to go deeper because of Fulcrum, because he still needs to watch the entire show. So no spoilers at all. But I want to hear your points of like your experience with like Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett.
Okay, well, Obi-Wan, Book of Boba Fett, I was very mixed on. I love the vibe of it. I loved like Temuera Morrison. Temuera Morrison. Like back in the role and just like playing this very like this like kind of noble leader. I mean, it wasn't like a perfect interpretation, but it was a fun show. It was cool to see Din back. It wasn't great. In fact, I don't even know if I'd consider it good, but it was fun for what it was. Obi-Wan Kenobi, however, that was a different story. I feel like it didn't hit all the beats, but the beats that it did hit, it was a very emotional, a very intimate story about this character who has PTSD from Order 66, and you kind of get to see like how he deals with that, and honestly the inclusion of like Vader himself was incredible. Like I really liked it. I really liked this. It was a nice kind of bringing back to like the old prequel days, and it felt like a nice combination of that and the original trilogy. It was a nice like it was a really nice series, really nice to get back to. I honestly don't want another season just because I feel like this was perfect the way it was.
I've touched on some of my thoughts of Boba Fett a little bit, and to sort of expand on that. My biggest issue with the show, not big issue, but I think it sort of almost sort of shows my opinions, is the best episodes of the show was the episodes where it solely focused on the Mandalorian, and that's an issue. Like I love the Mandalorian, and that was great, but it was almost sort of sitting down watching it, thinking, are we going to get Boba Fett episode, or are we going to get Mandalorian season 2.5? Like that's how it felt. A lot of very, very much the show, and to me, I think that was the issue where I felt, the Mandalorian character almost took over, and it almost put Boba Fett as sort of this character where, it's sort of like we needed you, but to bring on this new character, I really liked them first few episodes because it was almost like this guy who ruled with an iron fist, but almost was very much that sort of guy who, went into the village, looked around, Jabba the Hutt ruled with fear, and nobody ever, he did not come down. He was very threatening. This guy came around, ruled with an iron fist, and you knew it. You saw his face. You saw exactly what he was doing. I like that. I like that link. Like Tamora Morrison, I thought was really, really great in it. But for me, it almost gets to the point where, yes, you're doing this because you want Boba Fett, Mandalorian. Look how cool that will be, and that was, to me, that was obviously the biggest issue. But looking at Obi-Wan, it was a fan service. Ewan McGregor's back, Hayden Christensen's back. It almost felt like Star Wars fans were absolutely loving it. And I think, like Peyton said, it touched on some really interesting themes. It used an amount of time where they could really have took that Obi-Wan character anywhere because of obviously the gap of time between this show and probably A New Hope, where you could really explore that character very, very well. And I think the missions were really exciting. I thought the Darth Vader thing, I thought was used in the best way. So for me, it almost felt like a massive fan service. I have to respectfully disagree with Peyton. I would like to see another series because, like I said, I think there's so much time to cover. Whether we'll see Ewan McGregor back or whether they'll do that thing where sort of an older actor, because he's sort of progressively moving in to his older age, obviously to Alec Guinness, to the way Alec Guinness played him in A New Hope. But I think there's so much story there. It's so interesting. And like I said earlier, filling the timeline with so much stuff makes the Star Wars universe feel a lot more successful. So opposite ends of the spectrum for me, but I really, really enjoyed Obi-Wan. And, it was just such a great fan service.
Well, I have to say, like everything you guys said, like I have to admit, like it's really well put. Even though there are a lot of things that there are a few things that we, just like Kieran, disagree with Peyton. Even I disagree on some of the things that he said. But I will say this: when it comes to Book of Boba Fett, like for me, for what it was, I really liked it. I really love to see, like everyone else, I love to see Tamora Morrison back as Boba Fett. He was a badass, just like it was in The Mandalorian season 2. The story was interesting. The story really was interesting. The Godfather basically approach they had with the Book of Boba Fett, I really like that element as well. The characters that were in, like Black Crescent and, Cad Bane, of course. And all of that. Even though for me personally, if I had the power to change some of the things in the Book of Boba Fett, I would have introduced Cad Bane way earlier in the show. So basically, we could get a little bit more of a taste, like an actual taste, like of Cad Bane in live action. But even
they
still,
could have done that. But they could have done that because of the Mandalorian stuff. Yeah, that's where I think it was the issue where, like you said, the Godfather thing, they could really have expanded into that because it was so interesting in an episode and almost like, let's put down pause a minute, let's do what we need to do and then come back to it. That was my biggest thing where I think if you introduced Cad Bane earlier, you could really have that thing where, imagine Cad Bane versus Boba Fett in the palace, really arguing each other. It just, to me, that visual seems to be so interesting. But obviously, they didn't do it. They prioritized other things, I would say.
Yeah. I get you. But for me personally, like I said, I will admit that my favorite episodes of like the Book of Boba Fett were basically the episodes where Boba Fett was not in it. Like
that's it.
The Mandalorian, like the one which was beautifully directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. Like I felt like she did a magnificent job, just like in The Mandalorian. Like that episode was great. The one, of course, naturally directed by Dave Filoni, that was also great. Like I thought like we could see maybe Grogu a little bit and all that. I never thought we are gonna see that much of big of amount of like Luke Skywalker in that episode. By the way, the fake face thing, it was a masterpiece. It's a fucking masterpiece. No wonder they hired one of the guys from YouTube to do it. But basically, also I just want to say, Ahsoka, that I was like, that came out of nowhere. I was like, what? I was like, I was like shocked to see her there, but also in the same time, as a fan, like I was like tearing up a little bit, like basically seeing Luke and Ahsoka together, which kind of explains that they actually met each other before, which is something that we all wanted to see. I mean, let's be honest, we all wanted to see that.
Yeah.
Also, keep that thought, Fulcrum.
Okay.
Also, the other episode I liked very much was the finale. I really liked the finale, the overall battle, the confrontation between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. I really love that line where he says, "I'm not a boy anymore." I love that line because it basically connects with the Clone Wars and basically Cad Bane being his mentor. I love that. But overall, my biggest issue with Book of Boba Fett was basically too much flashbacks. Okay, they concentrate too much on the flashbacks. Because if I was the director, I would be like, you know what? I'd be like, yeah, you know what? Like, let's just put flashbacks like in the first episode, second episode a little bit, and like that's it. That's it. Like, let's concentrate on the present time, because that's, I think, the biggest problem was the Book of Boba Fett. They didn't concentrate too much on the present. That's my biggest issue with Book of Boba Fett. But overall, for me, everyone was great. Like, when it comes to the portrayals, the characters, and everything, for me, everyone was great. Obi-Wan Kenobi, however, I fucking love that show. I love that. Like, yes, it was fan service. I do agree. But like what they did, seeing Ewan McGregor back, seeing Hayden Christensen back, and also it warms my heart that he's getting finally the love that he deserved. Not just simply from Star Wars Celebration, but also playing Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker again. Which, by the way, I have to say that the training scene was mesmerizingly beautiful. I love that whole scene, back and forth with Darth Vader's thoughts and the flashback. I love that. I love that part. All the characters for me were great. I really like the third sister. A lot of people, I'm not gonna get into that, but basically, like, she had a lot of what's the word? Backlash. Basically, the actress she had a lot of backlash. But for me personally, I love her portrayal. I thought
Reva was amazing.
Yes, Reva was absolutely amazing. I love her story, her reason why she became an Inquisitor. Although I will say this, my priceless thing is to see other people's react to the Grand Inquisitor's presumed death. I love their reactions. Like, everyone was like, "What?"
That was me. I was just a little bit like, okay, interesting. Move on. Yeah,
I was like,
apparently you've never seen Star Wars Rebels.
Exactly. I mean, because I was like, come on, guys. Of course he's not gonna die. Like, he appears in Star Wars Rebels. Like, even like what's the director's name who did Obi-Wan Kenobi?
I think it was Deborah Chow.
Deborah Chow, yes. I doubt that Deborah Chow will be like that crazy to go off the canon. There's no way, especially
it could have happened. It could have happened. Like directors have done crazier things. It's
yes, but also
alternate timelines in Star Wars now.
Oh God, that would be mental.
Oh my God! But I mean, if you connect with the World Between Worlds thing, it could happen.
I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Exactly. But I will say this, basically story-wise and everything, Obi-Wan Kenobi for me was great. I love their round 2 rematch. I love that fight, like what they did, like showing both like their strengths and everything. The conversation with like the mask being cut off, it also kind of reminds me of the Twilight of the Apprentice in Star Wars Rebels. It kind of reminds me of that. But I love that. Also seeing Hayden Christensen, like I said. And again, the end with Liam Neeson. That, I'll be honest, that made me cry.
Yeah, it hit me. It hit me as well.
Made me cry. Oh my God. Like, I was like, when are we going to see him? When are we going to see him? When are we going to see him? And the perfect moment in the end. There was a perfect moment. And for me personally, it doesn't need season 2. It doesn't need, basically, like, if you want to do it, do a Reva spinoff if you want to. But like when it comes to Obi-Wan Kenobi, no, leave him be. Leave him the way it is. Like everything what they did, what Deborah Chow did, I applaud her. What she did. Like, I really like the show. So
Well,
yeah,
I'd love to touch on sort of the animated stuff if you don't mind. I think that we looked at the live action stuff. I thought that was great. And then we're going to speak about Bad Batch season 2 a little bit later on in the show. But for me, it almost seemed like that's the animating Star Wars shows really, really intrigued me and was really, really exciting. The Bad Batch was such a great show. Every week I felt like these adventures, these 5 characters grew and grew in terms of my, enjoyment and excitement to see them. They all fitted their role really, really well. But I've got to say, one of the shows that really did surprise me was Tales of the Jedi. This show I thought was a really, really great show. The French kiss from our councilman there, the French kiss of from Mr. Shadows. It was
pure
fantastic.
perfection.
It was pure perfection. I really enjoyed. I will admit, I enjoyed the Count Dooku episodes a little bit more than Ahsoka. I'm on next week's episode. Fantastic. But no, it's fantastic to see that character. It was hinted at so much. And I'm like, why don't we see that? Animated form I thought was great. It was one of them things where after I watched it, I went, right, any more episodes? Oh, there's no more episodes. Like, that was how good it was. So that was such exciting. I'm hoping we can see a season 2 of that, but explore completely different characters, because little short stories, animated stories as well, I think could really do a lot for these characters. So for me, I thought both Bad Batch and Tales of the Jedi was a really, really fantastic moment. What are your thoughts on it,
Fulcrum?
I think I agree with you there, Kieran. Honestly, it was really, like, for starters with Dooku. Like, I never thought I would see Dooku in that type of light. The Lord of Shadows and I were actually talking about that, and how, like, we didn't, like, we both knew about the EU and how Dooku was in that, but I never, like, thought that they would, like, expand upon it, and, like, it was pretty cool how they did that. And then Ahsoka, I love Ahsoka. Like, she is definitely one of my favorite characters. I was a little kind of like, why are we going with Ahsoka when we already know Ahsoka? But at the same time, it was really cool to see like some kind of new, like, kind of details in there. I always like seeing new details, like, or a new perspective in the, like, stories like that, and it kind of. And the whole format of it, and the Lord of Shadows and I were actually talking about this as well, is that, like, there's a lot of possibilities you can go if they decided to continue with this series with, like, new characters, like, from maybe, like, new eras within Star Wars, like, not just, like, Clone Wars or anything like that, but you can go to the original series, maybe touch on Luke, maybe touch on Leia or something like that. Trilogy. You can also go way back, because they're going to be touching on it with the Acolyte. You're going to be the High Republic era, or even like between those two eras and whatnot.
This Star Wars show. This Star Wars show very much reminds me of What If for Marvel. Now, hear me out. There's a lot of different. Hear me out for my reasoning on this. Is that when we were watching What If, and what really excites me about that show, regardless of people's negativity of that show, is that you're watching it and you just go, okay, that's a story I want to care about. But then almost before you actually hear or see the announcements about next week's episode and what you're already predicting in your head, what can they touch on? What can they explore on? I think that gives us some really great conversations, that every single time they do a What If episode and you hear the story, it almost sort of feels like that's fantastic. What we can do with what they could do with Tales of the Jedi is like Peyton brilliantly put. You're almost thinking of seasons and seasons worth of episodes, where you can also do that with What If. When you're watching Marvel movies. Now, I'm constantly predicting, but if they change that storyline, that could be a what if episode. But you could do that also with Star Wars, where you can look at their characters, you can see what backstory they've got, and say, I want to look at that. I want to see this. And I think that might be a really, really great way of constantly expanding and continuing that show. It is, is looking at what characters can we explore, what stories are going to be interesting in an animated form. You don't need to tie it all together. You just have to do a lot for that character. Because like Peyton said, we wouldn't have seen a lot. We wouldn't have expected to see Count Dooku and his story being touched on and explored in that capacity. But it did in Tales of the Jedi. Can you do that for another character? I do believe we can.
Yeah, I mean, like, everything you guys said, I totally agree. Like, Tales of the Jedi for me was a animated Star Wars masterpiece. Like, I mean, what can you expect? Like, the guy who did the show is Dave Filoni. No one else. Like, he basically not all of them, but he like the majority of the 6 episodes, like he wrote them. Like he wrote the stories for these episodes. But I will agree with you with you both, like, because and I was waiting for your answers so much that when it comes to Count Dooku, because those 3 episodes were my favorite as well. Like I love everything what they showed about Count Dooku, because it makes you look the character in a different way. Like you don't basically when you see him in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars, basically, you see him as this, hardcore, like ruthless, at the same time, gentleman / honorable villain. But when you see him in the Tales of the Jedi, why he turned away from the Jedi, why he joined Darth Sidious, what he wanted to do, like basically, it kind of gives you a different picture of Count Dooku. Like basically shows you like his other side. Like he basically makes his character complete. And also the teaser for like the Attack of the Clones. Oh my God. Like when he said that, I cannot wait to meet Obi-Wan, which basically is like a teaser to what's going to happen on Geonosis. Not to mention also when Count Dooku said like about Qui-Gon when he died, he was like, I wish he's still alive. I could use his help right now. When you see Tales of the Jedi, that quote, it hits you way harder. It hits you so hard because, like, I was like, you can see he really cared. By the way, I just want to also say it was a really big surprise to me to see Ian McDermott like voicing Darth Sidious again. I just want to say this as well. Also, one more thing. I was so happy that they didn't shadow his face this time. I was so happy because you can clearly see it was Palpatine. You can clearly see, and I love that. Also, one more thing before I go to the Ahsoka thing. I was so happy that they gave Yaddle some respect as a character. Like I love they gave her justice. And more precisely, I love what Dave Filoni did with her. That he gave her justice and respect that she deserved. Because in Legends, Yaddle is a very badass character. She's a really badass Jedi, and I love her storylines and her like the adventures and everything. And also, Bryce Dallas Howard. First and foremost, I was surprised that she voiced her, but what she did was like amazing. It was really amazing. And I loved her fight with Count Dooku. I love that she was really trying to help him, like, bring him to the light and everything. Like, there's still a chance and everything. I love that. I love that. Now, when it comes to Ahsoka, I will say this. The episode I really loved of her part was when she was a baby. That's the only part when it comes to Ahsoka I really, really loved. And especially that part with like the saber-toothed tiger or whatever that alien race was. But basically,
it's a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah, let's go with that.
Let's just say let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. Like basically, it's a giant saber-toothed tiger.
Dinosaurs exist in a galaxy far, far away.
Exactly. Maybe there are very close relatives to the Earth saber-toothed tigers. I mean, I don't know. But basically, when the contact they had with each other, and when she touched him, I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And at the same time, they made a connection. I love the way how the tiger basically she was riding on the fucking tiger towards the village. I was like, that's so badass for a baby. That's so badass. And I was like, that was the only episode of Ahsoka I loved. The other ones were fine. The training part when she was in the village, those were cool episodes. Also, I really liked that they showed that she was at the Padme's funeral. I love that, the addition. But basically, for me, those 2 episodes, I wouldn't say they're awful. I would just say, you know, they were fine. They were basically fine. But the first one for me was great. Also, I just want to mention the Bad Batch a little bit. First and foremost, it was just simply great again to see Clone Wars animation style back. Number one. Number two, the Bad Batch are basically the A-team of Star Wars. Basically, you know. I mean, when you see them, the only thing that is missing is the A-team theme. That's the only thing that's missing, you know, because it would be perfect for them. Perfect. But overall,
I want to see one of them with a gold chain. I want to see a gold chain, like a Mohican. I think that's what's necessary for season 2. Is that change up the animation a little bit, but get one of them to have a Mohican, get themselves a chain. Mr. T in Star Wars just seems like a great idea to me. Seriously.
Ooh,
oh
write
my
that
god,
down.
yes.
Write that down.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, again, the Bad Batch. You know, I mean, some people will say that this show was unnecessary. You know, like some people would call it even like a cash grab thing. But I'm like, hey, fuck that shit. You know, like if I like the story, if I like the character, I'm like, hey, the more the merrier. Like, you know, give me more. You know,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
honestly, I love the Bad Batch. I loved like the overall all the characters. I loved Omega. I really thought she was a nice addition to the team. You know, I loved like the way how they reacted to the Order 66. Also, let's not forget, first episode, we have seen a little bit of an origin of Kanan Jarrus with Depa Bilaba. Let's
Or
not forget that.
Caleb Dune at that point.
Yes, exactly. Caleb Doom back in that point. Although it does, do you think kind of retcons the comic book version?
I only read the first issue like so many years ago, so I can't really remember. But
Some people, it says it kind of retcons like Depa Bilaba's death and how he actually like run away and everything. But honestly, like what they showed here, and also I thought like it was really cool to see Freddie Prinze Jr. basically voicing a child version of himself. But basically, you know, like all the adventures like with the Bad Batch, and not to mention also the fucking badass Rhea Perlman, like being you know, their contact basically, you know. Wait, what's the race name of the lizard aliens?
well, I know I wouldn't
I'm
say
not- I
boss
can't- I'm not-
because that's actually
Yeah,
Let-
I'm not
let me
too
check.
sure.
Let me
Um,
check.
But
Let me check. I'll check.
but while you're looking on that, but while you're looking for that, I do want to mention that I think one of the Bad Batch does really well, and Lord of Shadows touched on that briefly. was that-
Trandoshan.
Did we? Yeah, touched on that. Was that-
Trandoshan, yes. Yes.
Yeah, is that do we really need the Bad Batch? Well, the Clone Wars was so highly successful. It was such a massive thing. I really liked the movie. I know that's a controversial thing, but I think the Clone Wars movie is actually really fun. So animated style, I think, is fantastic. It really does continue stories, and I think the Bad Batch, like I said, sci-fi westerns with really work. And again, the Bad Batch just really tapped into that. These outlaws doing what they want. It so works for Star Wars, and I definitely think in an animated form, this Bad Batch character. You know, there was so many episodes, so many different stories. You almost felt for that team, and every member was necessary. To that Omega coming in, she was so kick-ass in terms of where she got herself into a bit of trouble, but she didn't need rescuing. Like, please save me again for another episode. She saved herself. She was absolutely fantastic, and that is what was exciting. Is that every character, you felt like there was a connection. You felt like they had a lot of promise. It was almost like an ensemble cast, but they're animated. All of them coming together, and I think that's what Bad Batch did really, really well. So excited to see for season 2 because their journey can go on for many different possibilities.
Yeah. Also, before we go to season 2 thing, I just want to attach also another thing that I really love about the Bad Batch, which are two things. Number one is basically the relationship between each other. I really love their relationship and everything. But the second thing I really love about the Bad Batch is basically they showed how the Empire basically cut off any connections with like Camino and the cloning. Like they showed basically how they shut down the cloning program. And that's also one of the parts I really loved in the Bad Batch, like the way how they showed it, like basically through the point of view of the clones, basically, and I really really love that, So, do you want to add something about the Bad Batch, Fulcrum?
Well, I just kind of wanted to put my point of view on it is that like not all of these shows like in the Star Wars universe or like not like if you have like a big expansive universe, not all of them have to amount to something big. They don't have to impact the universe. Like something they can just be pure fun, like the Bad Batch. I had a blast. I really liked the Bad Batch. Like you two said, I like the characters. Like I like the story with it. Omega was a very adorable, very nice addition to the team, and yeah, I could see also that thing with Crosshair. Like I could definitely kind of see something like that. It was a little bit weird, but at the same time, it was a cool addition. But overall,
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And so, with we speaking of the Bad Batch, now we can go talk about season 2. And I mean, first and foremost, like the one thing that actually made me curious. What's wrong with Kieran?
Just left. Well, not didn't leave, but just kind of muted and.
Okay. So for now, it looks like it's just gonna be just you and me.
Yeah.
So basically, the Bad Batch season 2 was like already like confirmed. Like I think a little bit after season 1 ended. There you go. Okay, so basically, season 2 of the Bad Batch was confirmed. I think like was it like in the middle of like the season 1, or it was after season 1?
They had a break. They had a break in between the episodes. They released them weekly. Then they announced the season 2, and then they sort of carried that on, which I'm not usually a big fan of. But in this case, it sort of was like, yes, I'm in this now. Season 2, just carry on doing them now. So yeah, that's what happened.
Also, so yeah, I mean, like when it comes to Bad Batch season 2, like I mean, I watched all both the trailers of like what we will basically expect, and it kind of like when I saw the trailers, I was like, yeah, I mean, we're gonna expect we could expect the same thing, which is basically action packed, interesting stories, new characters, and basically fun. And that's what season 1 for me was. It was fun. So yeah, I mean, like also from the trailers what I've seen, it looks like maybe the stakes this time could be a little bit higher than what they were in like season 1. Also, that scene in the trailer where you see Darth Sidious, I was like, how the hell? Like, I'm really interested how he's gonna appear, because the way how you see that scene, he was staring at Omega, basically. So I'm really curious how they're gonna work out that scene, And also from the trailer, the first one, Ian McDermott is back as voicing him, which for me personally is fantastic. But I'm really curious
They've
about
been putting Sidious in everything lately. I didn't mean to interrupt, but they've been putting Sidious in everything lately.
Which in a way kind of makes sense, because he was that era, where he was like basically in charge, the main villain. So it makes sense in a way. It really actually makes sense why you're gonna put him there. But when
if you keep having Ian McDermott in that role, you almost feel like you sort of have to use him to the point where just use him in anything really. Like Lord of Shadows said, because it's in that timeline and it's in that sort of time where it's all focusing on. I mean, like you said, that Omega thing with Darth Sidious. I said earlier about Omega getting out of it. She needs some help, I think, with Darth Sidious around. I think that's the case where Omega is sort of like, yeah, she's fearless. However, you're going up against Darth Sidious. Maybe rely on your mate, on your buddies.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And also, I mean, like from the trailer that I've seen, especially the new one, we're gonna see Cody. We're gonna see him. We're gonna see again Captain Rex. We're gonna see Crosshair again, and also, I could be wrong, but especially the last hologram with Captain Rex talking to the Bad Batch, it kind of made me assume that maybe we will see Darth Maul and the Crimson Dawn. I mean, anything is possible, honestly. It's a big universe, and we could see Darth Maul. Now, of course, I'm not expecting him to fight him. I'm not expecting them to fight him, but like, in some capacity, maybe we can even see Darth Maul. I mean, everything is possible. But for everything I've seen, also, I just want to say, Wanda Sykes being part of the Star Wars family, I mean, I have to say, like, this is such a fucking great addition. I mean, like, when I heard her voice of that, like, I know if she, I don't know if she's a rebel or just an employer, but basically, I was like in my head, I was like, Wanda Sykes, welcome to the family.
Yeah,
You know,
she's like, she has one of the most recognizable voices, like, in Hollywood. So
definitely, you know, I mean, so yeah, I mean, like with everything I've seen when it comes to in the trailers, you know, like with the being action packed. Also, I was really happy to see Sid back, you know, voiced by the amazing, you know, Rhea Perlman. You know, I mean, I was really happy to see Sid back, you know, and so yeah, I mean, I just really cannot wait, you know, because I think like season 2 will have, you know, will be a lot of fun, just like season 1. I mean, what do you guys think?
yeah,
It kicks off the year in a good way. No, but then obviously we've got pushed back until next year in January. So you know, it, like I said, definitely starts off the year in a great way. I think what's really great about this is that, you know, like you said, season 1 introduce these characters in a bit more of a focused way. They're a part of a larger series in the Clone Wars. So to, like I said earlier, to really focus on these 5 characters and their need for each other, their brotherhood, I thought was really, really great. Now that they've established this world away from the Clone Wars, they have got the opportunities to make sort of big additions, to make, you know, have bigger casting. That's how sort of season 2s generally work, is that almost like because they've got the fans on side, they can be creative and big and bold. But I think the themes are still there. I think the ideas of these characters relying on each other is still there. And I just think, you know, what really excites me about this show is, like I said, outlaws, spies, you know, whatever they class themselves as, really does work when you're watching a TV show. More so, really, sometimes with as of a movie. I love obviously like the James Bond movie, Jason Bourne movies, and we're not focusing on them in this episode. But I think spy shows work in that way, where I think you grab people's attention so quickly, because with the amount of episodes that they've got, they can really be as creative, as menacing, as sort of, you know, cliffhangery, if that's even a word, cliffhanger every single episode, to the point where they really can, you know, maintain people's attentions throughout the entire season and really get to the point where just reveal it all, we'll be happy, let's move on to the next thing. But they've got obviously these characters. I would like to see them spaced out. So if you've got all of these characters available at your disposal, you know, not introducing them all at one time gives these characters the opportunity to add something massive to this story, make sure that, you know, that they really dominate. Because, you know, we all love TV shows, but there are certain characters where they go, he was the standout. They were the standout of that episode. They can do that with these characters because they're introducing so many. So the Bad Batch season 1 was fantastic. Really hoping that season 2 can, and it's got all the writings on the wall that it really will be.
Fulcrum?
same.
Well, that was short.
I think I'm rambling on a little bit. Apologies.
No, I really don't have any other thoughts on it other than, you know, I'm looking forward to it. It's basically like what we expect from season 1, and yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on Bad Batch season 2. I will definitely check it out, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely. Like, I'm gonna check it out as well. You know, also, you know, the premiere in January. Is it January 4th?
4th.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. It's literally
Okay.
like,
So
like-
basically, during that time. Wait, actually, let me check. I have the right here. Yeah, January 4th. Yeah. Not only that, but in January 4th, we're gonna have a premiere of 2 episodes, not just 1. 2 episodes will premiere on January 4th. So so that's also great as well. But also, since I mentioned before, like, it looks like the stakes this time they're gonna be higher. And the one thing I will say, I cannot wait to see, like, new species, new planets, not to mention new characters as well. Also, the return of like some old characters that we know. Also, not to forget to mention, this could also be a good chance to Omega and Boba Fett finally meet. You know, I'm just saying, anything is possible. So, and I'm really hoping that actually happens. Also, I have a feeling this time someone could actually die. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that could happen, because maybe season 2, you know, do have that full potential of really introducing and sort of newer characters, and then also making the way for other sort of Bad Batch members. They can seem to sort of try to reinvent them. If Boba Fett show up, then hopefully he'll dedicate a few Boba Fett episodes and hopefully continue on season 1. But the Book of Boba Fett maybe go, well, we did finish all of Boba Fett. We had to do some stuff for the Mandalorian. So here the rest of Boba Fett, Boba Fett and Omega. But no, like you said, I definitely think a casualty could really sort of work in terms of this show, because we've seen them now for probably 2 seasons. We might get one a death at the finale, and really put a lot of emotional damage to these characters, which are already so emotionally damaged.
Mm-hmm. Fulcrum?
A lot of possibilities.
That was quick as well. Thank you very much.
Expect a lot of those answers.
Yeah. I mean, like, the reason why I'm saying that it could be there could be some consequences, because they actually revealed like the titles of all the episodes that will be, and just from the titles I'm seeing, because I had them here open right now, I'm like, wow, no, like you can definitely feel that the stakes will be higher and there will be some casualties, like definitely.
Yeah.
But with all being said, let's continue to the next topic, which is basically the continuation of the very first Star Wars live-action TV show. And we all know what it is. The Mandalorian, Season 3.
Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There it is. The simplest poster on this wall. But look at that. Yeah, I love that.
Oh my God.
There is the t-shirt as well.
I'm a part of the Grow Gang.
Grow Gang. How do I become a part of that? Seriously.
There is a lot of stuff to do, believe me. A lot of stuff.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Send me the sign-up sheet.
Yeah, so basically we have a release date this time. Like the first time the first trailer came out, we were like, they did say, it will come out in February, but this time it actually is confirmed it's gonna be the 1st of March, which actually kind of makes sense, because like the Bad Batch releases in January 4th, so it kind of actually makes sense, why they pushed it a little bit, like until like March 1st. But honestly, like with everything I followed, like with Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, Pedro Pascal, like even the actress who plays Bo-Katan, who also voiced her in Clone Wars and Rebels, like everyone that the way how they were talking, I was like, wow. Like basically they were saying, get ready for emotions, get ready for grand battles, get ready for more like starfights, get ready for more this and that and blah blah blah. I was like, wow. Like, I mean, the one thing for certain is the way how Pedro Pascal said, because he did say we kept Grogu's secret, we kept Ahsoka's secret, we kept Luke Skywalker's secret. So, and he's like, so get ready for season 3 because there's a lot more secrets to come. And I was like, wow. I mean, that makes you like theorize of what those secrets could be, But the one thing, I mean, even the actress says, that there's gonna be a lot more of Bo-Katan as well, because from what the trailer what I've seen and what she said, it looks like that she could be also season 3's main villain. With everything that is going on with the Mandalorian, Mandalore itself, the Darksaber, she could be easily the main villain. And actually, it kind of makes sense in a way, But basically, what they said: get ready for more battles. Get ready for more starfights. Get ready for more get ready for more Mandalorians. Get ready for more this and that. Like, I was like, wow. I mean, I cannot wait for season 3 at all. I really cannot wait. I mean, what do you guys think?
Peyton?
Well, for starters, we're gonna be on Mandalore. Like,
yes.
we're gonna be exploring the lore of Mandalore. So that's gonna be pretty cool. The whole Din being denounced as an actual Mandalorian, it's going to be pretty cool, because that's like ever since the Clone Wars and him being adopted into that lifestyle, that's pretty much like all he knows. Like that's pretty much all he is. And he adopted Grogu into that lifestyle too, and to see him kind of be lost in that regard, I'm kind of curious to see that. And also, you said with like all the surprises and all that stuff, like, yeah, we definitely don't know what to expect at this point. We could see a character that we haven't seen before. We could have like a big twist. And also too, the thing I also want to mention about this is that um Industrial Light and Magic, who's been with like Star Wars since the very beginning in 77. They've basically innovated not just Star Wars, but special effects in the movie genre as well. And what they did with The Mandalorian was like truly
Oh
amazing
God.
with the back screen. Like, and I'm really curious to see like if they're working with Favreau and Filoni again to kind of innovate the series more and kind of innovate what a, a a show on this scale can be.
Yeah. Can I say one thing?
Yes.
I was trying to find, like, you remember the Brazil Comic Con that happened?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, basically, like, there was like Pedro Pascal, like even Jon Favreau was there. Basically, what I mentioned before, Jon Favreau basically says that the Mandalorian season 3 will be bigger in scale with more surprises and space battles. That's basically what he said, And Pedro Pascal, that's he's the one who says, get ready for more secrets, like be revealed and everything. I mean, that's all I just wanted to mention, but please continue.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. What about you, FRC?
Yeah, this season is really going to explore Mandalorian's backstory in this, with obviously the introduction of Mandalore. I think that's where they're really going to focus on. I won't be surprised if we do get like a dedicated flashback episode where you could really sort of explore this sort of world. I'm going to sort of try and compare it in the way that, because I heard that Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka seem to be in that sort of shared connective universe where the TV shows seem like they're all sort of interlinking together. Mandalorian is your main show where if anything big happens, put it on the Mandalorian and it will be blown up in terms of exactly what will happen. I think this is a really, really great opportunity for Mandalorian to look at also his past, but then really make a massive impact in all of these other shows. Obviously, we're going to get Ahsoka, which we'll talk about later on. But for me, I was such a massive fan of the first two seasons. The themes and genres that explored that interlink so well, and it almost just felt like we were falling in love with Star Wars again, this world and sort of stuff like that after the Disney-led Star Wars movies. Is that it felt very personal. You love these characters, you want to see these characters succeed at every possible opportunity. So really, it is probably the best thing to do was to continue with this Mandalorian character and dedicate himself. Like I said, we had a Mandalorian 2.5 in the Boba Fett show. Now it's really going to be cool to see him in season 3 with this world and really saying that the backstory that's been shrouded in mystery, touched on a little bit, could finally really be explored in the best possible way. And then also bringing in like Peyton said, really looking at the way that character is impacted by all the decisions he's been forced to make, that's where the emotion of the finale of season 2 really, really came into it. And I was such a big fan of that finale. Wow, what an emotional ride, where I was just like, I might watch that episode again. Like, I might watch that episode again after watching it for the first time because I loved it that much. So I would probably say that was my favorite. That and Kenobi finale was probably the two episodes which I loved the most out of all the Star Wars shows. I thought they were fantastic.
Wow. I mean, so well put. Like, for both of you, like, this is going straight to the notebook. I know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. Like, The Mandalorian has been a major hit from, like, season after season. Well, technically we're only just 2 seasons, but basically, like, it's just a massive hit. And like I said, before, The Mandalorian season 3 is gonna be like, it's gonna get like on a really way bigger scale, just like Jon Favreau said. Also, I mean, the way how I saw it, the way how Pedro Pascal was talking about it, the way how Jon Favreau was talking about it, the way how the actress who played Bo-Katan was talking about it, like, I was gonna imagine, I was like, okay, like, so is that it? Like, is that the end of The Mandalorian? And then you hear Jon Favreau saying, oh, by the way, I'm already writing season 4. I was like, I was like, wait, you have Mandalore struggle between Bo-Katan and Din Djarin about the Darksaber and the throne of Mandalore. I was like, that's a perfect finale. Like, what the fuck you have for season 4 that is so bigger than this? I was like, I mean, if season 3 is gonna go on a bigger scale, then season 4 is gonna get like bonkers. Season 4 is gonna be way more bonkers.
Well, we had our theories because the Star Wars universe, big, expansive, but there's also a little universe within this big universe with The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, soon to be Ahsoka, and the New Republic show is kind of on the back burner right now.
Yeah. I mean, as far as for what I heard, for what I've heard is that the Rangers of the New Republic that was supposed to be a show that now is going to be basically sprinkled basically inside like all these shows, not just simply The Mandalorian, but like I think like even like in Ahsoka and other shows. I mean, that's at least what I heard. Like, instead of like making a show on its own, it's going to be sprinkled like inside season 3 of The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and everything else that is coming next. Like that's at least what I heard. You know, yeah. But honestly, like I know what you're talking about, and I thought like we should keep that theory for the next topic, unless you guys want to add something for season 3, The Mandalorian.
No, I think I'm good.
Can we? It needs to be released tomorrow. That's all I'm going to add on it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I really wish that March 1st was like right tomorrow. Like I really
can I just sleep and then somebody wake me up as soon as it airs? Like that's what I want. Well, that's what we want for everything, really, because we're that big fans of stuff.
Also, I mean, let's not forget like one of the icons, not simply Star Wars, but like The Mandalorian. Like one of the things I also can't wait is to see more of Grogu. Of course, naturally, we all want to see more of Grogu. We all want to, But anyway, let's go to the next topic, which actually connects with everything we talked about, like the Book of Boba Fett, now The Mandalorian, Star Wars, Ahsoka, which is a show that I really cannot wait, because this show is created, written. He's also going to direct several episodes. Dave Filoni, the Jedi Master. I mean, man, I mean, by the way, they're still filming. They're still in production. But honestly, like, I cannot wait for this show. Not just simply like to see Ahsoka again, but let's not forget, we're going to basically see almost every single crew member of the Ghost from Rebels. We're going to see Hera. We're going to see Ezra. We're going to see Sabine. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Zeb or even Kallus. Just saying. Oh, not forget, Chopper is gonna appear as well in Ahsoka. Oh my god.
Force Ghost of Kanan, maybe.
Yeah, there's been actually some stories that even Kanan could appear, but the only way I can see him appear. By the way, I just want to say I would really love to see Freddie Prinze Jr. playing a live action version of Kanan. That would be really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this: the only way how Kanan could appear is either through flashbacks or like as a Force ghost. That's the only way he could appear. Also, let's not forget the rumor that Hayden Christensen could appear as Anakin Skywalker in Ahsoka. Yeah. That's another rumor that a lot of people are saying, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it's confirmed. He's going to be in it. Well, for this particular information, I'm like, look, until I see it, for me, this is just a rumor. But if this
was heavily rumored, so
it could happen. Honestly, it could happen. I'm just saying, But overall, with everything in mind, let's also not forget the main course of Ahsoka. They're going after Thrawn. We're gonna see a fucking live action Thrawn, and they're still keeping a secret of who's playing him. They're still keeping a secret, and I'm like, man, I'm really hoping that Lars Mikkelsen, that is playing him, who is, by the way, the guy who voices him in Rebels. I really want him to play because he kind of looks like Thrawn. He kind of looks like him, and also when it comes to the age where Ahsoka is set, it's perfect. But basically, also from what I heard from Dave Filoni and the other like members of the crew of Ahsoka, we also could expect a lot of lightsaber battles in the Ahsoka TV show, which is again
Good.
great.
Good.
Also,
Yeah, good.
yeah. Also, it looks like if you you and I Fulcrum talked about it, but if you notice the poster, you can see the marks of something very familiar, Fulcrum. Hmm?
Mm-hmm. World Between Worlds.
Exactly, World Between Worlds. And I'm like, and also, I mean, of course, the footage was released in on Star Wars Celebration, but thank you for some people who actually took the footage and so I could see it. But basically, like, there's gonna be a lot of crazy shit with the Force going on with in Ahsoka. Like when it comes to what
they're gonna get arrested now. Now you've revealed them. They're gonna get arrested for what this.
I didn't say details. I'm just saying that for what I've seen.
Exactly, and a lot of other people have seen it. So yeah, okay.
So we're not the only one, but basically, like, there's gonna be a lot of exploring when it comes to the Force, and I've heard some rumors that the story will be set in the New Beyond, which is kind of like another part of like the unknown regions, basically, where like the Force is kind of like treated like magic, which also a lot of people are being theorizing that we could also see the Night Sisters as well. Which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll be totally on board on that. And also kind of like give you a reason how Thrawn will return to the universe, to the galaxy that we all know, basically. Like he's gonna have an army of like Force users, zombies, like things like that. Like there's some a lot of crazy shit I've heard. Like, but again, those are rumors. But overall, I cannot wait to see Rosario Dawson back as Ahsoka. Like, I mean, what the performance that she had, that she did on The Mandalorian season 2, the Book of Boba Fett, like, she was great. She was really, really great. I really cannot wait to see her. But what do you guys think about Ahsoka? I mean, I've been talking this time a little bit too longer.
Well,
I really think that what's so good about this show is that you feel like, because we've seen so much, I've seen the Clone Wars movie. Now we've seen, her pop up in both Boba Fett and in the Mandalorian. It almost feels like we're still necessarily seeing this character, come up again. I'm interested to see in what time they sort of explore. You've got so much time of Ahsoka's journey. Where do you go to an origin story? If the Hayden Christensen thing is true, you sort of have to focus on her relationship with Anakin. Do you link it in this shared TV universe with Mandalorian and Boba Fett? What do you prioritize? What do you focus on? I think they need to lead in with one, and that's about it. Otherwise, it's going to get a little bit too, mind messy, where you just go, oh, we've got this, we've got that. So I think that's really my only little worry about it, is that what you're going to prioritize. If you prioritize one, you almost sort of have to run with that. But I think Rosario Dawson's a great casting. She's probably the best part of any MCU Netflix TV show. She was the best part of any of every one of those. So she's such a great actress. I'm really, really pleased that she's got this massive mainstream role. But like I said, the only little negative I'm sort of touching on is that, are you going to be focused on this shared TV connective universe, or are you going to really do so much for this character? I think if you lean on either one of them, it could be great.
Fulcrum?
Well, I agree with like pretty much what Kieran said. I also wanted to add, like I said before, like Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters within the Star Wars universe, and what they did with her in The Mandalorian, it was a really good adaptation. Not just like the character itself, but just how they kind of portrayed this Ronin type character. And also, I wanted to add that in the episode that she was in, I don't know if either of you are familiar with Akira Kurosawa,
Yeah.
who basically like partially influenced Star Wars to what we know it today. And it had a lot of Kurosawa like influence and references and everything like that. And I hope they keep that for Ahsoka. I hope we get this kind of this lone Ronin type of story in a way. I'm curious to see how how they would adapt that into like a full length show. And we also have Star Wars Visions too. So it seems
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we
like
forgot to talk about that. We forgot to
No,
talk
no,
about how
no.
did we
Don't
begin?
worry. Don't worry. We will catch on that. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
I need to stop talking. Seriously, I need to give Lord of Shadows the opportunity to host. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna shut up and be a good boy. There we go.
yeah. But I did want to add, they're having a lot of like Japanese influence within the franchise lately. And so it would be cool to see like, not only with Ahsoka, but like what other like kind of samurai or warrior type
Mhm.
influences or whatever type influences we can have in general for this franchise, because there is a lot to go on, a lot to adapt, and a lot to tell with new stories.
Like I totally agree with what you said, because like even Dave Filoni mentioned like one time, or it was Rosario Dawson, I'm not actually quite sure, but basically one of them actually mentioned that Ahsoka will be like basically will be a TV show that is like a samurai adventure, basically, and I totally agree, because you can even like see that like sorry,
Can we put
I
that?
just
Can we put that comment up on the screen? Is there any possible way of doing that, just so people can actually get the
don't worry
reference?
about it. Don't worry about it. I'll take a picture of it. Like, don't worry about it. Anyway, I just want to say that. Look at that. We have a lot of comments here, gentlemen. But basically, what I was trying to say is that. What was I saying? That. Oh yeah, that basically, like like you mentioned before, like there's a lot of stuff like inspired by Kurosawa, especially like you mentioned before in season 2 of The Mandalorian, from the like the Jedi episode with Ahsoka Tano, where she first made her like live action appearance. There's so much Kurosawa in it, but the one thing is, and I want to ask you guys about this before I add something else. But like, do you guys think we could see Barriss Offee in Ahsoka?
Very possible.
Do you know?
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would love to see like Barriss Offee appear in in the Ahsoka TV show, like basically either through redemption or like a rematch between them. Like either way, it would be awesome. But one thing I will say, with everything is going on, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka being connected, I have a feeling this is going to be leading to a canon version of the Thrawn trilogy. I'm just saying, it could be possible.
How many times do I keep saying this? Lord of Shadows needs to work for Sony on Mario. He needs to work for DC, and he needs to work on Star Wars. That's just what he needs to do. He needs to stop being part of the Shadow Council. He needs to prioritize the other stuff, because he knows what we want. He knows what he wants.
Oh, I mean, first and foremost, that's something that almost every single fan wants. Like we all want to see a canon version of the Thrawn trilogy. And the way how this is leading, this could actually lead to that. And also, there are some possibilities this could actually be shown on the big screen, not as a TV show, but on the big screen. And there's one guy actually who did a theory, and I actually completely am on board on that. That the Thrawn trilogy could even happen now. Again, this is just a rumor. A theory. But it could even happen in like after the Secret Trilogy, with like the Secret Trilogy characters. Like it could happen like later on. And honestly, the way how you describe it, I am totally on board on that. But again, I kind of doubt it. But anything is possible. So if this is linked to the Thrawn trilogy, I'll be the happiest Star Wars fan alive. Seriously, I want to see a canon version. I mean, we're not gonna have, Luke or Han Solo or Leia in this, or even like Rook because he was barbecued in Rebels. But like, we're not gonna have those characters. But we have a perfect team. We have the Mandalorian, Din Djarin. We have Ahsoka. We have Grogu. We have Boba. We have Fennec Shan. We have like Sabine Wren and the other Ghost crew members. Like we have so many characters. You can basically do like a fucking Star Wars version of Avengers against Thrawn, who could be like the Filoniverse Thanos, basically. I got a little bit carried away, but you get the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with that all being said, now let's go to one of the favorite topics that our dear Kieran is asking for is Star Wars Visions Season 2. So for this one, I want you guys to start.
Peyton, off you go, because I'm just I'm gathering all my thoughts. Go on, Peyton.
All right. Well, like I kept saying before, a lot of Japanese influence within this franchise, and honestly, like, I'm not the biggest anime fan. I mean, I love My Hero Academia, and a few other anime that there and there, but I'm like, I definitely appreciate the art form. Like, it definitely is an art form in itself. And the fact that, Star Wars was able to collaborate with all these studios and whatnot to create something very authentic and create something very like this would have, and what Kieran said before, like with What If, what if should have been. It should have been kind of more of like a love letter to like the art forms and stuff like that. Like they should have had like multiple different like art forms with What If and whatnot. And like that's what I appreciate. And also it was just cool to see like kind of like how people would how like these studios would interpret like these characters, these stories and whatnot, without like having to worry about the continuity. And I really love that.
I've just noticed a comment. Move on from what we're talking about. Yes, what gets me with this show, and by the way, I binge watched this like all in one day, and I will go and rewatch it, but mainly because of you see the love for Star Wars in terms of a worldwide basis. I think it's so easy nowadays to sort of be trapped in your own bubble and just be interested in, love something because it's massively popular, but you don't understand the cultural impact of something that is so great. And then also you don't see the case where people will just go, you know what, I want to add my style and my part of it. I'm not a big anime fan like Peyton. This show really got me into sort of these Japanese stories, the Japanese artwork. I watched a lot of sort of the featurette stuff that they do on this show, and really, really great to see that process, so artistic and very, very beautiful in the way that they do it. Also, what I really like about it is that you feel like you're watching it and you're not worried or you're not frustrated. Like, I'm going to use an example. The lightsabers that they used in that show were fantastic, but I never read one thing that said about, oh, well, why are they doing that? Like, they can't do that. Like we did with the broken lightsaber in The Last Jedi. People were moaning about that. And yes, I understand that was in a movie case. But I think with the Vision show, it was almost like they were just allowed to be as creative, authentic, and just amazing as possible. I really, really do think there's that capability of, making even more stories with this, even, making more let visions of what possibly could be, because I think there's such a unique audience where if you've got that unique audience interested in the show, they'll watch it for years and years and years. And also Star Wars as well is fantastic. So cannot wait for Vision Season 2. It is up there. A lot of people probably put it down lower on the list, mainly because it didn't have the biggest marketing, which is understandable. But Vision Season 2 is really going to be something I'm most definitely interested in, to say, how are you going to change the Star Wars universe? How are you going to make it in your society and culture? That's something I'm really, really excited about.
I have to say, like, everything you guys said is so beautifully put. I totally agree. Like, one of the things why I was actually impressed with Star Wars Visions, because I'll be honest, but the first time I heard of this, I wasn't actually interested when it comes to Star Wars Visions. I wasn't even interested, like, with this, like, idea what they had and everything. Even though I kind of get what they were wanting to do. Because one of the reasons why I knew what they were after, like in Star Wars Visions, because I've seen Animatrix, basically, and it was the same thing. Basically, like every single episode, their own style, own culture, own ways of telling a story. And that's basically what Star Wars Visions was as well. So that kind of also gave me an idea before it actually was released. So it took me a little while to kind of like binge it and actually like watch it like the entire day. But after I watched it, I was basically feeling like a fucking critic watching a beautiful painting who he sees it as a masterpiece. Like there were a few episodes where I actually teared up a little bit, because how beautiful it was, how imaginative it was, because like you said, Kieran, and I totally agree with you. You can feel the culture and the love they had for Star Wars. And the one thing I loved in Star Wars Visions was the idea, like their own personal ideas, how they imagine it to be. Yes, like some of them were like a little bit childish. Some of them were like a little bit like when it comes to the animation style, that kind of didn't work for me. But the overall idea behind it was really great. Even though personally for me in season 1, my favorite episode will always be the duel. I really love that episode. So again, I cannot wait to see season 2. I cannot wait to hear like more different styles of animation. Because I've heard there'll be a lot of different studios involved in season 2. That they weren't involved in season 1. So I cannot wait to see more different versions of it. But overall,
is it Disney? Go on.
Sorry.
Go on, no, carry on. No, I was just going to say that it was nice that Disney Plus said, we and also Star Wars to say we're going to front this, because when have you seen a big company really put a lot of time, effort, and production into a Japanese anime style show? Yes, they chuck some stuff on Netflix, and sort of streaming services do use them, but the fact that they said, and also get them that assurance that like, we're going to put it on our streaming service, but we're going to give you the creative process. You're going to be as equal as a part of it. I just think it was really beautiful. I think it showed so much significance and stuff like that. So it wasn't just a here we go, this is something different. It definitely felt very much more of a cultural look, and I was really pleased by it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can feel that Star Wars Visions was definitely a big risk for not just simply Lucasfilm, but for Disney, because this is something that they never did before. So, and I have to say, as a risk, like they did a wonderful job, because this project was definitely bared like really well nourished fruits, basically, in a poetic way, basically. So yeah, I mean, I cannot wait for Star Wars Vision season 2 and like the new styles and the new studios that will be involved. I just simply cannot wait, because again, like at first I wasn't interested, but after I saw it, I was like, this is great. This is just simply great. Yeah. Fulcrum, anything to add?
I said what I needed to say.
Okay. So with everything being said, let's go to the unknown regions this time. Because now we talk about the shows that we know a little bit more information. But so now let's go to the unknown regions this time. So we're going to start with a TV show that at first I was like not that much interested. But after I heard the premise, I was like, okay, now I'm actually interested. Skeleton Crew, done by John Watts. Like basically, from my understanding, this is going to be a Stranger Things in Star Wars, basically, like
or Goonies, whatever way you want to put it.
Yeah, exactly, or the Goonies, because the premise, the way how I understood it, is basically will be centered around like a group of children that are lost in space, and it looks like that Jude Law, another actor that joined the Star Wars family, who's gonna be basically their guide or something, And they also said the Skeleton Crew is gonna be connected in the Filoniverse. Let's just put it that way, because a lot of people have said that maybe even like Ahsoka or the Mandalorian could actually pop up in the Skeleton Crew. Which honestly, if it's connected, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, But basically, since we know very little information about it, basically the one thing that I'm hoping it will basically get my attention is an interesting story. That's the number one thing I'm hoping for, like an interesting story. I don't mind who's casted. I don't mind who the characters are. Just give me an interesting story. What about you guys?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd be the same way, really. Like, I always love the idea of like these coming of age stories and how like they're trying to incorporate that into more media and whatnot. And having John Watts, who literally just came off of like one of the biggest like trilogies within like not only the MCU but like within like modern pop culture right now, the Spider-Man trilogy, literally having like this, this like one of the most iconic characters in all of fiction, Spider-Man, but having more of like a coming of age story, starting with, just like a nice little high school story to an international, uh, uh, like kind of thing, and then you have this big like multiversal, but like Peter's like forced to like truly grow up and deal with his consequences and whatnot. And the way that like John Watts' direction will be, we're probably gonna get something a lot more scarier than we're used to for like because like from what I heard, like it's not like an actual kids show. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna be like these kids, they're gonna be in peril from what I from my from what I imagine. So I'm excited to see what Watts and Filoni do with this show. I'm pretty excited for it actually.
Yeah, because before you start FRC, I just love calling you FRC. Basically.
Yeah, I love
But
it as well. It's fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
but just wanted to say is that the one thing I also forgot to mention. Yeah, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni naturally are connected to this. But also, what I love about what John Watts said, basically, yes, it's a show about kids. Oh, by the way, it's not a kids show. I love the way how he orchestrated this dialogue, basically. Like, yes, it's about kids, but it's not a kids show. Like, I love that because just like you said, Fulcrum, like basically, there's gonna be some dark elements as well, in the show. I can definitely see that. But overall, yeah, like I cannot wait to see what John Watts has basically prepared for us. Okay, FRC, now is your turn.
Well, thank you. Listen, I'm just going to get a checklist out, and this might sum up my thoughts on the show. But we've got Stranger Things, The Goonies mix, Jude Law. That's it. That's my thoughts. No, I'm really looking forward to this show. That's what makes that makes Star Wars so exciting. Is that even just a small concept of kids being trapped in space really could give us a massive possibility. I am in agreement with LOS. Can I call you that? LOS? FRC LOS? There we go. I would agree with this that the story is the most important here because you've got so many possibilities. What do you prioritize? What do you focus on? That's my issue. But what John Watts did incredible with that Spider-Man universe is that every single Spider-Man movie felt like a journey for Peter Parker. You could do it with these two kids and also give that possibility where even the smallest or simplest of ideas could actually lead to really, really great with such a creative team behind it. John Watts is proven. Jude Law coming in is definitely a big name. He does no wrong really in a lot of his big roles. So to me, really looking forward to Skeleton Crew, mainly because that uniqueness of the show and the simplicity of it would really lead to something very, very special.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I cannot wait to see the first official trailer, or at least a teaser trailer of the Skeleton Crew. Because as far as I know, like oh yes, indeed, Gary, FRC is a great podcast.
So much love. I'm loving this. So much love. So much love.
Indeed. Oh my god. But I will say this. I just really cannot wait because Skeleton Crew, they're still filming, they're still in production, which by the way, I just want to say that they started production like without any one of us knowing, like they did start production secret. I love that, but I cannot wait to see like the first fruits, basically. What the kind of like to give us an idea what Skeleton Crew is going to be all about. But overall, what I heard, I cannot wait for this show. I really cannot wait. So, with that out of the way. Now we start to another Star Wars TV show that I cannot wait to see it. It
I
is
think I know what you're
definitely
doing.
it's definitely my Star Wars, my type of Star Wars story. And they started like in November, like the first days in November, they started production. Star Wars, The Acolyte. Oh my god! Like I cannot wait for Star Wars: The Acolyte. And one of the things I loved about it is that finally we got like some. I'm just gonna read like basically the full description of the show. Just kind of like so everyone can get an idea what this is all about. But basically, it says here like the acolyte. The acolyte is a mystery thriller that will take viewers into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers, the Sith, in the final days of the High Republic era, which is again an element that I cannot wait to see. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated. Okay, just with this description, they already bought my attention. Okay, they already got me. Like because the actress who, by the way, plays X-23 in Logan, who's also involved.
Daphne Keane. Daphne
Yeah.
Yes,
Keane.
yes, she's also involved in the Acolyte. She even said that this show is like Sith driven. Like when it comes to, because just like Leslie said, because this show is going to explore like how the Sith are still here, how they infiltrate the Republic, how they infiltrate the Jedi, how the Jedi never noticed them. Like basically, she said that we're gonna that this show is gonna give us some answers about actually what happens. And even though I know a lot of people actually been commenting like like, oh, could we see a young Palpatine? Could we see Darth Plagueis? Could we see his master like Darth Tenebros or something? Well, first and foremost, Palpatine, no fucking way we're gonna see him, because this is like 100 years before Phantom Menace. But maybe Darth Plagueis, maybe his master Darth Tenebros. I mean, anything is possible. With that in mind. But overall, like, I cannot wait to finally to give us a villain-driven story. Like, that's the thing I cannot wait to see. And again, I know that some people had issues with Leslie, but like everything that she told us about the Acolyte and her energy about Star Wars in general, like you can see that she's actually a energy-driven fan. Like when it comes to Star Wars, like you can see she loves it. So I cannot wait to see what she's gonna do with the Acolyte. I really cannot wait. The only other thing I know, it's gonna have, it looks like 8 episodes, just like The Mandalorian. But overall, cannot wait to see what she's gonna do with the Acolyte. Now is your turn.
Yeah, I really like this show, mainly because I think a mystery thriller, I think, is such a captivating genre. You can do so much with it and really flip it on its head if you want to. Look, it almost feels like villain-based stories are probably a little bit more successful sometimes, because we seem like we're living in a renaissance of them. I mentioned last episode of how much I love the Joker, and that was a fantastic villainous story. Thank God Noah's not here, if I was going to get into another argument. No, love Noah. Hopefully he's listening. But no, villainous stories feel like they are the best stories. And to me, it almost seems like Star Wars are really going to tap into that. They haven't tapped in that yet, mainly because Boba Fett was a little bit of an anti-villain sort of role. But Daphne Keane also said as well that she was going to take a little bit of a break from acting. She was going to sort of, look at possible opportunities. The fact that you've got somebody who wants to take a break moving into your show, there's got to be some sort of intriguing way. It almost feels better than an actor that's really, really hot and get loads of offers and go, you know what, I'm going to pick that one. It almost seems like now it's like, oh, please come out of retirement to join this show. It grabs people's attention, the genres, the themes. It almost feels like this is to the point where Star Wars doing something different, but you've got fans on their side. That's really, really important.
Fulcrum?
I will say, like both of you had like great points with this, and also too, what I'm looking forward to the most, and what from the set photos that I saw, like this is going to be in the prime of the Jedi. Well, at least like at the tail end of the High Republic era.
Yep.
But like we're gonna see a lot of lightsaber action. We're gonna see the Jedi like kind of as these noble warriors that like we should have seen all along. And there's a lot of possibilities there, and there's also like there's a lot of possibilities of what they can do for future projects, and hopefully hopefully we get to talk about some movies soon, if like that's still kind of in the back burner. But like but like I'd love to see like a movie kind of on a huge scale with like a Jedi focused story.
Yeah, I totally agree on you. Totally agree on you on this one. Like when it comes to all of this fulcrum. I mean, one of the things that you mentioned, as I mentioned before, like one of the things that really made me interested in the Acolyte is because we are entering with this show. We're going to enter into the era of the High Republic, like finally, because the High Republic has been explored through like novels, child books, and comic books. Like with those three like genres, basically, like that's how the High Republic was explored. So for me personally, it's about time, like you said, to be explored on the screen. You know, when it comes to the High Republic, even though they are the final days, but it's still like in that era. Also, the one thing, speaking of the set pictures, what is the other thing you are mostly interested to see?
Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah, of course.
Why not? Why not?
Exactly. You know, I mean,
But Peyton brings up a great point about the movies. Is that almost like, me and Peyton discussed this on one of my shows, was that, really they've put that as a back burner. They've used shows, they've made shows really the priority, and a lot of people have very difference of opinion with that. Mainly because not a lot of people were very thrilled of Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. I know we spoke about that earlier, but really, the Star Wars it belongs on the movie. It belongs on the big screen. That's where they made their name. That's why they're so incredible. So to me, I think with these TV shows, they almost sort of feel like they're testing the waters, which shows are successful, which shows are not. And like you said, this show could really lead to something. So I think at the moment they've got a massive blank slate. How can they use the TV shows to really decide on the direction they can take with their movies? The Skywalker saga was beautiful. It was absolutely amazing, but they ended that in such a great way. Now let's see what they can do with their movies. And if you're going to give us these characters from the TV shows to then really bolster and really make films, that could be your decision making, and say, look, the fans popularity of a show could give us the reason why we're going to greenlight a movie. So I think that relationship could really work, and this show, The Acolyte, could really be that thing where start off as a TV show, test the waters. If you've got things excited, don't do a season 2, do a movie, do something that could really impact and get a lot of people in their seats and enjoying movies again.
Yeah, so far I've heard the Acolyte basically, as far as I've heard, it's gonna be like a limited thing.
Yeah.
I mean, anything is possible, but if it's gonna be a limited thing, I'm totally fine with that. But again, like you mentioned before, like it is time for the Skywalker saga to end and basically explore other eras of like Star Wars, not just simply like the High Republic, but basically go beyond the Skywalker saga, basically like go after the sequel trilogy to basically start something new, or even go back in the past during the era, which is my favorite part of Star Wars, the Old Republic. Go back to the Old Republic, because the Old Republic is like thousands of years old, thousands and thousands, and you can do so many storylines there. So many different characters, so many different villains, like so many different locations, not to mention the mythology around the Force, the Jedi, and the Sith. Just saying. So I'm really happy.
None of the shows I could potentially see leading to a movie. Now I do think that could be Star Wars' direction, Star Wars' way of looking at it. Is that you said,
yeah, I get you.
If you're touching on these characters with so much history, it almost feels like, for example, Marvel at the moment, feel like they are, how much history can you explore? Star Wars, you can explore so much history, like you mentioned, there's thousands and thousands of years worth. If you go into touch on that purely through shows, you're going to lose the art in the sense of movies. They can do that with movies. It's just what projects do you prioritize. I can't see any of these shows leading into a movie, but like you said, I think the Acolyte could really do that if you get a high success rate with the show.
No. I mean, I totally agree with everything you said. I totally do. I'm not saying that for example, if they go to the Old Republic, I'm not saying that they should do just simply TV shows. No.
No, I agree.
Like, you can do like even movies as well. Definitely. Because like I said, it's like thousands of years old, and basically you can do like as many things as you want, from comic books to novels to games to animation to live action to movies, anything you want. The point what I'm trying to say is that the Acolyte, basically, I hope it's going to be the first step into a new kind of like era when it comes to Star Wars, and also story type era. where basically you can tell a story driven by the villains, basically,
Yeah.
because that is something
Yeah.
that is missing in Star Wars as well. So with that being said, I want to also mention a little bit, and actually, should we actually, because of Fulcrum, should we actually talk about Andor season 2?
No,
No.
and I'll
You
tell you
two
why.
can talk about it. Just
No, I think it
No,
has
no,
one
no,
of,
no,
like,
no.
like I said, season 1 has one of them endings where I think if we touch on little bits of our excitement on season 2, your incredibly logical Star Wars mind will just go into endless possibilities. So we don't want to spoil it for you. I agree. LOS.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because of you, Fulcrum, like, I don't think it's better that we talk about Endor season 2, because since you just simply started, it won't be fair. For you, it won't be fair, especially when it comes to the ending. So
we love you too much. We love you too much. We don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah, definitely. So before we go to the games, I just want to mention one more thing, because we never heard anything about it, like, for for a long time. And then it's Star Wars Lando. Like,
I actually wanted to talk about that.
yeah, I mean, like, even I was interested, like, what they were planning to do with Star Wars Lando. Like, it's gonna be like a young Lando Calrissian adventures, or it would be like one with Billy D. Williams, or maybe even Billy D. Williams talking about, like, his younger days. Anything could be possible. But because it's really crazy, we never heard anything about it, like, ever since it was announced. Because I'm really interested in this show. It's a real shame that nothing was mentioned about it.
Well, the thing is, too, from what I heard, is that the main star that they want for the return from Solo is Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Like he was a fan favorite for the fan casting for years, and when he was put on, like, everybody was excited. And keep in mind that Glover is like one of the most talented people in Hollywood. Actor, rapper, producer, writer, director, you name it, Glover has done. And like, I think he would love to come back, but at the same time, like, I think it's gonna be a while before he has some time freed up. So you gotta, like, so you have to so you gotta time it just right, where Glover has, like, that little thing, like, has time to do it, I mean. And yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. I totally get you. I just, I don't want to. I'm just afraid that that they're not going to do the same thing like they did with Rangers of the Old Republic. Of Rangers of the New Republic. Sorry, Rangers of the New Republic. Where basically they're gonna cancel it or something. Because ever since the Kathleen Kennedy announced, like, Lando, like, I was really interested, like, to what kind of a TV show this was gonna be. So I'm just simply hoping that it's not gonna be the same fate as Rangers of the New Republic. That's all I'm just simply saying.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, this character has always been on the edge of possibly exploring it. It always keeps getting pushed back. I think Donald Glover was fantastic as Lando, and I think there was a lot of people's issues with Solo, but nobody could argue that that character was really, really exciting and really great. In terms of the show, it almost sort of feels like without him, what can you really explore? Billy D. Williams, I think, could be a really good thing, but I don't know. It almost seems like, whatever they decide to prioritize, it never feels like it's in their plans. It almost sort of feels like they're constantly, being a little bit iffy with this character. So for me, I was in the same camp as everybody, where I'd really like to see something, from this character, but I almost sort of feel like it's always on the edge of people's minds that, oh, do you want to do a Lando show? Should we do a Lando show? Because there's no progression with it. I'm not, looking at this show massively thinking it's going to be something. But it's a shame. It's a shame. But if they're gonna make all of these shows absolutely fantastic, I don't think anybody will be thinking, we need a Lando show. Like, that's how I feel about it.
I also think, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, LOS, but I also think we can get a really cool story out of this, because keep in mind, Lando has had tons of adventures, like, and we could probably, like, maybe explore between Solo and Empire Strikes Back, of like him acquiring like him acquiring Cloud City, like kind of the stuff, because Lando is such a interesting character, and kind of his arc in Star Wars is very interesting as well, and his personality, like his very smooth personality. You have Han Solo, who's like this very rough. He's very like yeah, like him and Lando are both like, oh well, like what am I gonna do now? But Lando's like very, smooth about it, and just like I'm really excited to see what they do with that show.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, even I would be interested to see what they can do with Star Wars Lando. But if someone asked me like how will I do it, because I personally think that Lando will basically be, I mean, the way how I would have done it basically is like Billy D. Williams Lando talking about his younger days. Basically, like every single episode is like one of his new adventures. Basically,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want.
And they can easily, if you want to connect Solo, they can easily do like episodes where basically the story is happening after Solo, which also could give another chance for like the actor who played young Han Solo coming back as well, for like a guest star appearing or something, But I agree even with what you said, Falcom. You can even show like how Lando Calrissian basically became the owner of Cloud City as well, and he struggles with the Empire and all of that, so anything with Lando, honestly, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So with that being said, I mean, if you guys want to, if you, my fellow members of the Shadow Council, if you want to, I also want to talk about a little bit about Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Star Wars Eclipse. I know that you guys are not big gamers. I know you're not. But I felt like, we could mention just a little bit if you want to.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
sorry,
actually did play a little bit of Fallen Order, so
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I'm a big fan of the Lego game. I'm a big fan of Lego Star Wars, so yeah, let's do this. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I will say first and foremost,
we need to do a Twitch stream of Lego Star Wars with all three of us.
Oh yeah,
fantastic! Yeah,
oh my God.
Let's do that. Yeah.
But I will say this: when it comes to Star Wars Eclipse, as far as I know, we don't know too much about it. When it comes to like the overall story and what's going to happen, who are the main characters and all of that, the one thing, at least what I've seen from the cinematic trailer, which by the way, it was fantastic. When it comes to the overall music, the scenes and everything, it definitely feels like it could be centered around the Jedi. It definitely feels like that. Also, the one thing I was really kind of freaking out a little bit was, we're gonna see Yoda in Star Wars Eclipse as well, because there's one scene where you have the Jedi Council with him like watching, basically the entire Coruscant, So, anything is possible, But basically, the way how I see it, because it was just a cinematic trailer, so there was nothing else about Star Wars Eclipse, and also I know that the studio who was making the game, I know they had some troubles and all that, so. At least the way how I see it, I can definitely see Star Wars Eclipse being like an open world game. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. I know they're trying to deal with like the High Republic, or at least like a very early Jedi Order. So I'm kind of curious to see how they play into that.
That's always the best games, I think, is that sort of open world experience where I think the possibilities of doing what you want to do is endless. So I think the open world thing definitely seems very much explore something in a game format, which I think will be quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, but like I said, Star Wars Eclipse, we don't know too much about it. Although I will say, it definitely feels like it's going to be centered more around the Jedi. So with that being said, I want to talk about Star Wars Jedi Survivor now. Like, I mean, I already played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order twice. It's a really great game. Like, Star Wars didn't make great video games in a very long time. And what Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for me, it was basically a video game revelation, basically, when it comes to the overall Star Wars. So I really cannot wait to see what Jedi Survivor is basically is gonna give us. Not just simply like when it comes to gameplay, because of what I've seen the gameplay, I've seen the cinematic trailer. Even though the gameplay looks awesome, I'm actually more interested to see the story. What is the story going to be? Because Jedi Fallen Order storyline was great, so I really cannot wait to see what the Jedi Survivor will be actually preparing for us. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well, I actually did play like a little bit of the game, like I said, and I really like resonated with like Cal Kestis and BD
Mm,
BD1.
I think so. I'm not quite sure the name of the droid.
Yeah, but like how it all how it all panned out and everything like that. I played maybe like half of the game or something like that. It was
It's
I'm not
BD1.
BD. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. But yeah, but like I really like that. I really like going to new like planets and stuff like that. Well, kind of the same planets like Kashyyyk. It was really cool to hang out with the Wookiees and then
Of course.
and just like but yeah, it was a really fun time. Like it felt like a grand like Star Wars story, something we typically see, and like I will I'll try to catch Jedi Survivor. Like I'd really like to play something like that.
And I have to say, I will say this: wait until play it until the end of the game, because believe me, there's a lot of shit going on, especially when you've reached the end of the game.
Yeah.
Believe me. Oh my. What about you, FRC?
Every time you say that, I love it. No, this is actually one game I think I am going to get. The voice actor Cameron Monaghan is fantastic in Gotham. He serves as he's massively part of Joker's story, which I thought was a really really great part of that. And apparently, the character is very much molded on that voice, which I think is definitely a big reassurance that people think that's a great casting. But for me, I really like that idea of being part of a game where it's almost like you are the most important character in there. He's trying to rebuild the Jedi Order, and it definitely seems like everybody is closing on around him. Everybody is your enemy, and you are the one that has to save so many countless lives. The dark tone, I think, will really work for a game, and obviously the setting and the gameplay of it will look really, really cool. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. And also as well, apparently the timeline, apparently I've heard of it, it falls around the same points as both Andor and Obi-Wan. I mean, fantastic. That is a time where where the Sith are really at the top of the game. So for me, I definitely think it really really could captivate so many people's imaginations and ideas.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know. So with that being said, now we are very near the end. So before we finish this lovely Shadow Council meeting, basically I wanted to add up a little bit about Star Wars Celebration that is going to happen next year in London. So here's the thing: I want to ask you guys, like, what do you expect from that particular celebration when it comes to like trailers, possible projects, and things like that? You know, and we'll go like one each, like one at a time.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
but I did want to ask you something though.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there do you have like the Taika Waititi Star Wars project on your list with that?
Honestly, I didn't put it because after all of this that was going on, I thought like basically it is done.
Yeah. Well, I'm still crossing my fingers because honestly, that's probably one of my most anticipated Star Wars projects because not only Taika Waititi is probably one of the most like unique filmmakers in modern Hollywood right now, but also like it'd be pretty like it'd be pretty amazing to like kind of explore like what he does with it. So I'm crossing my fingers that like he has a script and they're ready to start production.
I mean, look. Don't get me wrong. Really, don't get me wrong. I'm also interested to see what Taika Waititi will do with his like Star Wars project. Like, don't get me wrong. Even I would do, but just with everything going on, also the way how Taika Waititi was responding to all of this and everything. Like, I don't know. Like, it sounds to me like they're scrapping it. But like you said, Fulcrum, like you said, even I'm crossing my fingers that the Star Wars project Taika Waititi is going to happen. Because with his mindset, I simply cannot wait to see what bonkers ideas basically he will do with Star Wars. Basically his own version of Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
He reinvented the 4 franchise. I constantly say that when I walked into Ragnarok, I was like, this is going to be different. And then walking out, I was just like, wow, unbelievable. He can do that for Marvel, then he can definitely do that for Star Wars. Every single time, Taika does do a project, it almost feels like he just scraps any, possibilities and go, oh, it's very similar to this. Taika's like, no, it's not. So I don't think that my issue is that Taika never comments on it, never touches on it, never makes any comment. Even the Patty Jenkins stuff. Patty Jenkins was, feel like she owed it to the Star Wars to go, this is my mindset on it. Taika's never really mentioned it. So for me, that is one of the annoyances of Star Wars, is that make sure you can get, these people really being, really commenting on it. If not, then you do feel like, yeah, okay, if the director's not talking about it, why do we need to talk about it?
That's actually the reason why Chapek is out and Bob Iger now came in to fix it, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, that was one of the main things.
Yeah, I just want to mention, like, off the topic, I just want to mention that I loved how Chapek was basically saying to Kathleen Kennedy, would you please do me the favor and shut the fuck up about upcoming movies, please? Like, we're not ready for that, okay? Just shut up. Nothing. Like, I just love the way how they were saying, just, please don't talk about movies, okay? Just please don't, especially with Solo and the Skywalker saga thing, you get the idea.
I'd love to see Star Wars back on the big screen again.
Oh, me as well. I would love to, because that's actually where it belongs to, on the big screen. Like I always said to myself and to everyone else that Star Wars, when it comes to live action, it belongs to the big screen and animation as well, but mostly on TV.
Yeah,
that's the way how I saw it.
Yeah.
So, with Star Wars Celebration 2023 in London coming out, I want to ask you, what are your personal thoughts, like what they could show or what they could announce? So, with me, I think I should start first because I'll be very quick, and because I'm really peculiar to hear what you guys imagine, what they will show. So basically, like when it comes to Star Wars Celebration 2023, like even though it's London and they usually when it's like Europe Star Wars Celebration, they have a different type of presentation than what they do in United States. But either way, I'm really hoping to see at least a teaser trailer or something about Ahsoka. I'm really hoping for that. Something, a little taste of the Acolyte as well. Skeleton Crew also. And maybe some information about Andor Season 2, even though because I do know they started production somewhere I think in November. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, early November.
Yeah, but most of all, I want to hear news about just and I'm doing this for you, Fulcrum. I want to hear news about Lando. I want to really hear news about Lando, Taika Waititi, Star Wars. But most of all, the few things I really am curious is I want to see new projects announced.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the projects, can you imagine, for example, they announced well, actually with Ahsoka not coming out yet, maybe it's a little bit complicated, but for example, can you imagine Filoni and Jon Favreau came out and saying, hey guys, we're bringing back Star Wars on the big screen, and what we're gonna do a Thrawn trilogy. We're gonna do a trilogy about Grand Admiral Thrawn. If I was there, I would literally faint it. if they said that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I was just
don't
going
think
to
that's
say.
gonna happen, but
I was just going to say, please, the both of you come to my home, my home nation of England. We could go together. However, after Lord of Shadow, after Lord of Shadow saying that he might faint with that news, I think we might have to stand behind him. So if they're fainting, then he could just faint in very good light. We've got to protect him at all costs.
oh
In
my
terms
god,
in terms of my excitement, I would just like to see them be very, very confident in what they announce. The first podcast I ever did with LOS was ranking our excitement. I'm sure you remember this,
yeah.
Alan, was our excitement for the Star Wars shows. Marvel do that great job where, we're almost on tender hooks about what they're going to announce. Let's do that for Star Wars again. Let's make, content that we all love about announce Star Wars shows. My biggest thing, movies need to be announced, and also trailers. I'm not. Is that make sure you announce movies, make sure you get them sorted, and I'd love to see Jon Favreau do a Star Wars movie.
Oh, me
That's
too.
yeah.
that's me. I think is if you
I
go
think they at least wanted something like that for a while.
Yeah, but I do think that now with Bob Iger coming back into this, having hopefully a good relationship with Kathleen Kennedy, I definitely think both of them could really put their heads together and announce something big. I think it's important to do that. Also, I would just like to see. It'd be really exciting to see Chewbacca's and Darth Vader's hanging around in London. I'll be very interested to see what if they go to Buckingham Palace as dressed as Chewbacca and Han Solo and Darth Vader. That'd be really cool. That's really nice. That's what I'm really looking forward to. Overall, is just seeing Star Wars culture come to London. I think that'd be really exciting.
Yeah, but before you start, Fulcrum, because I know you have a lot of wishes. I just want to add also like 3 more things. Like I said, like one of them is like you said, like Star Wars movies being announced. Number 1, and also, can you can you imagine if they announce like they're gonna do a new Star Wars trilogy after the sequel trilogy? Can you imagine if they do that?
I mean, I definitely would like to see it, not so much after the sequel trilogy, because I feel like we should just leave that, like, the rest of, like, that timeline kind of up to
In the air.
open interpretation. Like, I feel like we should leave, like, the Skywalker saga, like, almost completely alone, except, like, maybe within the comics and maybe, like, a few, like,
No.
TV
Don't get me wrong. I get you. I totally get you. But what I meant was, with the Skywalker saga being done, I meant was like, with the trilogy after the sequel trilogy. What I meant was basically start something new, like a new saga, basically. Yeah, sure. You're gonna have the same characters like Rey, Finn, Poe, and the rest. Yes, but you start something new with them.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
get that. Yeah, I get that.
Second, I really wish that they announce Star Wars Tales of the Jedi Season 2. I really wish that this happens. And number 3, there is something that has been a rumor, speculation for a long time. But if Star Wars The Acolyte is successful, I'm really hoping that they give us a TV series, a dark, gritty TV series about Darth Bane. And what better way to do it than adapted from Drew Karpyshyn's novels? By the way, if you didn't read the trilogy, read it because it's fantastic. Fantastic. One of the best Star Wars books I've ever read. And I would love to see a Darth Bane TV show. Because with the content of those novels, you can easily do like 4 or 5 seasons. Easily. So those are my wishes. Now, what about you, Fulcrum?
Honestly, I've had like so many wishes before. Like I said, like trilogy movies. I can't really think of anything at the time. I know like I've had like so many like wishes and whatnot. I would like to see maybe some EU come into canon. Like I know we talked about this and make sure you check out some old episodes of the McClunky Chit Chat. Hopefully we'll have that going soon again. But I know I'd really like to see like Kyle Katarn or like some type of Jedi
Yes. Yes. Oh God. Yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. Oh my God, Karl Katarn. But I would love to see like so many Sith Lords return to canon, like Darth Malgus, Darth Nihilus, Darth Bane. Well, Darth Bane is already in canon, but like the real Darth Bane, Darth Venderu, the Sith Emperor Tenebrae, Valkorion, like fucking. Oh my God, Exar Khan, Nagasato. Like, there's so many Sith Lords I would love to see back to canon. So many Sith Lords. Oh my God, like so many. But yeah, do you have anything to add? Like you two?
Not really.
Okay, so
No,
with that
no, I
being
think
said,
it's really exciting. I just think everything's exciting from Star Wars. I definitely think, now with, with the opportunity endless on both cinemas, streaming services, let you've got an audience, captivate the audience, every single possibility, and I definitely think they can do that.
I do have one more thing.
go ahead.
Let me see if I can find it.
You should have been prepared. You should have been prepared. Why would you
Yeah.
Here's what the-
There. No. I'll just say it. Dr. Aphra.
Yeah. Oh my God, I would love to see a Dr. Aphra TV show. Oh my God. Or
Yeah, I
even-
don't know if you're familiar, but Dr. Aphra is basically Space Indiana Jones.
Yes. Yeah, that's Fulcrum described Dr. Aphra perfectly. It's basically Star Wars Indiana Jones, and like seriously, like you should read her comic book series because you will immediately fall in love with the character. She's so good.
She's slimy. She's very snarky. Her Black Harantasan, who was in the Book of Boba Fett, he was in the EU, but he also was a major player within the Darth Vader comics, as well as the Dr. Aphra comics, along with her protocol droid and her astromech droid, who are very similar to 3PO and R2D2, but I can't remember their names.
Yeah. But again, for me personally, like I said, I want to see the Sith Lords, especially from the Old Republic. I want to see them back to canon, because seriously, the Old Republic has not been touched yet. So you can bring back those characters and basically do your own stories with them, because there's so many great Sith Lords, like from Malgus, Revan, Malak, Exar Khan, Anderu, fucking Treya, like Darth Sion, Darth Bane, Darth Zana, there's so many. Oh my God, great villains. Anyway, with that being said, guys, we came to an end to our third Shadow Council meeting. So please, everyone, I hope you enjoyed our lovely, dark, evil meeting. And like always, you know the protocol. Comment, subscribe, leave a like, drop a comment in the comment section down below. And like always, see you guys next time. Laura Shadows, signing off.
Peyton from the Pop Perch Network, signing off. May the Force be with you, kids.
FRC, signing off.
May the Force be with you always.